stop that.
Hey guys, I want to share a story with you today. Um, it's my story with money, wealth, poverty, lack, abundance, that kind of thing. 44 years old, and I have many skills and talents and degrees and things like that, which I've worked hard for. In fact, the whole theme of working hard is very interesting in this regard because I used to think that I should just work harder because in my life story, I just never quite made it. It always felt that I'm just out of reach, or I should just try something else, something different, something new, something bigger, something whatever. You get the idea. And no matter what, I would always wind back to this specific point where it felt to me like I'm destined to never have enough. And being very spiritually inclined, I almost embraced the idea of not having enough or of having a little and lack. But over the years, I became really tired of this struggle, this up and down. Then I'm thinking I'm making it and then I'm not. And then I'm thinking I shouldn't be making it in terms of the world's standards of making it. And then I start to become in acceptance of that. And then I get to a low point where I actually have to pay bills and they're just not going away. And where I felt, why is it such a struggle? Why is it such a battle? And then meditating again, and then spiritually getting to a place of acceptance. And yes, but my path is not their path, and maybe that's not my destiny to have money, or maybe not having money is helping me in some way spiritually. And I must say, I do think at a certain point in my life, if I had abundance, I would not have walked the path that I did walk. Spiritually, but I'm not trying to say that one needs a poverty mentality in order to advance spiritually. I think that is one of the fallacies that I believed for a long time in my life. So what happened was during the last few days, but it's actually been an ongoing journey for me. But during the last few days, I really meditated on this a lot, and I tried to see through my illusions, my ego's projections. I tried to open my ears and listen to exactly what I was saying to myself when I would have these self-talks going on of, oh, there's never enough, and one man's labor can never be sufficient to make a living in this world, and all of that sort of thing. I just started becoming tuned into what is it that I am saying to myself? What are the little words that I'm using to describe reality? In what way am I shaping my reality by describing it in a certain way? In what way am I shaping my reality by looking at it in a certain way? And how could I look at reality differently? And how could I describe my reality to myself and to others differently? I also looked at the kinds of energy that I take with me out into the world, and become aware of, I want to say, the heaviness that I sometimes take with me out into the world. And yes, sometimes one does feel like you just need some alone time, and you just need to be, left the hell alone by everyone. And then at other times you feel, oh, why is my phone not ringing? Why are great opportunities not coming my way? And then it's almost like a victim mentality that sets in. And then at other times it feels like it's all just too much. Just go away, go away. I'm sick of the bullshit. I'm tired of it all. And this is also an oscillating waveform pattern that I've identified in my life. And I think it goes with being a highly sensitive person as well, in that we do need a lot of downtime and a lot of alone time and a lot of time to reflect and meditate and rest. Now, if you want to juxtapose these needs, these real needs, with the idea, the ego-driven, fear-driven, culture programming-driven idea that we have to just do more, work harder, get up earlier, fight harder, jump higher, run faster, run further, try harder, reach more people, make more posts, whatever the case may be, produce more. It's actually a production mindset, is that our self-worth is measured by how productive we have been today, or this week, or this month, or this year, or in our lifetime. And these things have just recently started breaking open for me, in that I realized, or I'm beginning to glimpse into a new paradigm, a new dimension of, I want to call it a new economy, a kingdom economy. You know, Christ was speaking of the kingdom. Now, I'm not religious at all, but I really have gained a lot of value from the words of Christ over the years, and they've broken open for me on many levels over the last few years, since 2012, when I've just started seeing things differently. And the less I struggled in religion, the less I engaged in a religious way with the Bible or praying or Buddhism or whatever, the more I just released it and just opened myself up for what is true and what is wholesome and what is good and pure, or what is, whatever it is, even so-called negative things. These words of Christ would always come back and reveal themselves to me. Almost what they call a Christ consciousness. It's as if I started entering into more of a Christ consciousness. And the less I would resist these revelations and just not try to figure them out in my noodle, but to really engage with them, really feel the value of these words, almost sink in and become a part of my being, a part of my DNA, and see that I am these words. I am Christ. I am the kingdom. So coming back to this concept of, or this realization, really, it's more than a concept, a mental construct. It's an awakening, an awareness, a realization of this kingdom economy. The economy that Jesus would tell his disciples about. The Jesus who would take a coin out of a fish's mouth and say, "Give unto Caesar what is Caesar's." Now, here's the question. How much emphasis was placed on money in that economy? Zero. But how much abundance was there in that economy? The other day, we went to a quarry where there's water in an abandoned place, and a friend of mine did some spearfishing, and he spearfished 2 bass fish. They weren't very big, but they were about this big. So I gutted the fish and put them on a few coals on the fire and roasted them there. And this had, looking at these fish, had me thinking about Jesus when he multiplied the fish and the loaves. And I think for me that's a very big pointer into this kingdom economy. Everybody, the whole crowd there was hungry, and his disciples were saying, you know, we only have these 2 fish and these 5 loaves, and we can't possibly feed everyone, and we can't go to town and buy and come back, and it will be too late, and everybody's hungry already. And he didn't make a big deal of it. He didn't say, oh, let's see how much money we have so that we can go and buy fish and loaves. He said, oh, I see we have fish and loaves. There's the first point, is looking at what you already have instead of looking at what you don't have. So he started breaking these and putting it into baskets, and they handed it out to everybody, and 12 baskets full remained at the end. Now, I think this parable, or this, it's not a parable, this event, the story of what happened, is there to stimulate and challenge and break our paradigm for us. Because we've been brainwashed for so long to be thinking in terms of, oh, I only need to work harder and struggle more and work long shifts and work all-nighters. And, you know, if I can tell the people around me how much I've struggled and how much I'm suffering and how tough life is and how tough the economy is under this COVID situation, you know, I can do that. And there's a lot of apparent value to be had in, you know, boasting about how much you've struggled. But I've gotten really to the end of my capacity to struggle like that. And I just started embracing doing less. Now during December, the work that I do is starting to taper down for me now. There's still some jobs out there, but my personal experience at this time is that it's tapering down a bit. So there's a job here and there. And I started reminding myself how what there is more than enough. Not thinking about it in terms of lack, but looking at it in terms from a perspective of abundance, of it is enough. My wife Stephanie has just gone off to the chemist, and she took my bank card, where I would normally, without realizing it, I would just say to her, oh, there's so much, so, you know, just keep in the budget. I know that's a good principle to have, is to stick to within your means, not live outside of your means. And I'm not by any means propagating living outside of your means. But today I found myself saying to her, take the card, get what you need, there's enough. And it's amazing what a big leap this is. When you are used to looking at how much there is, in fact, if I want to be honest, how little there is was the mindset. Now I just say to her, there's enough. And it's so liberating. So in conclusion of this video, I would just like to name a few things that stand out for me in terms of my realization after all these years of struggling financially, and in terms of production and what I do and all of that. Firstly, I am not defined by what I do. I am as I am. I am not defined by what is in my bank account. It is enough. And even if there is nothing, or there is minus $1 million, in fact, I can owe everybody, there is still enough. A lot of people are going to say, yes, but. The yes, but mentality is exactly what's keeping us poor. It's what's keeping us in debt, is when we want to always say, yes, but this is the reality. The reality, my friend, is what you say it is, what you believe it is, what you make it, and what you see it as. You see reality into being. It has taken me a long time to get to truly realize this. And that's partly why I'm making this video. It sounds wrong. It sounds like it's just another person going on about manifesting and this and that. But it really is so simple. And because it is so simple, our ego wants to keep us in suffering. So our ego comes and says, yes, but I owe so-and-so, and I have this and this disability, and I come from this and this background, and there's a million excuses. And I am not interested in them because I have used them all myself. I'm not interested in these excuses. What I am interested in is sharing with you what I've discovered. That is, real abundance, real prosperity is not about money. It's about a way of thinking and a way of looking at reality and yourself as that reality, not as a part of it, not as in it, not as under it, not as subject to it. We are not the victims of reality. We are reality. All of us is that singular reality. Christ in the Gospel of Thomas said, when two become one, that is the kingdom. When man becomes woman and woman becomes man, and this sounds enigmatic, it sounds wrong, it sounds like, but, if I just look at myself in the mirror, I can see that I'm a man, I'm not a woman. I think he was trying to say to us, when two become one is not about gender or about marrying or anything like that per se. It is more about neutralizing the opposites. I think I shall talk about this in another video. Neutralizing the opposites, unifying the opposites. And this has a lot to do about judgment. But I'm going to leave this one there. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you next time.